Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric, man.
And today, Eric made me watch They Live! This is a John Carpenter film from 1988 that I have heard, for a long time quoted and seen things parodying this, and never actually got around to sit down and watching it. And I always forget what exactly this movie is and what it's about.
Because you thought it was a zombie movie before you
for a second I did.
it.
I don't know what it is. It's just that title sounds like a zombie title. And then as soon as we started watching it, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. It's this movie. Okay, now it's all come back to me. So much stuff about this I didn't know. I didn't know Keith David was in this. I didn't know Keith David was in any cult classic movies like that.
Well, he's in The Thing as well.
Yeah, which I had also forgotten. It's been so long since I've seen it.
And then I don't know anything else he's in until Riddick.
You've been really giving me an education, and like a re-education on some of the stuff that I used to know but just haven't looked at in a long time, and some of this kind of, like I said, cult classic stuff, and in some cases B-movie things. This isn't really a B-movie, but it has some qualities of B-movies.
Sure.
Most certainly. So anyway, Eric, why'd you pick this? Because I need to see it? Because everybody should see this?
Everyone should see this movie. I saw it maybe like 2 years ago, around the time I saw In the Mouth of Madness.
You for the first time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize you were such a late bloomer to this too, or late comer to this too.
Yeah, it was one of the Carpenter films I hadn't seen, and I don't know why it took me so long to watch it. But
do you consider yourself a Carpenter fan?
He's my favorite director.
Now, then the question is, do you consider yourself a Carpenter's fan?
I mean, everybody is, right?
Okay, right, yeah, sure.
No. John Carpenter's my favorite director.
Oh, I didn't know that. Or perhaps I had forgotten.
Here's the thing about John Carpenter films. None of them are perfect. They all probably have plot holes you can drive a truck through. Yeah. They all have contrivances, but he makes movies that just work.
There's maybe some self-indulgences here and there. This definitely has some of that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, The Thing's a masterpiece. I don't know if there's any real major plot holes, and I'm sure somebody could find some, but no movie is perfect.
That's also such a simple story.
Yeah, his movies are very jazz-like, where it's just kind of riffing and just kind of living in the moment, but they all work. They probably break down if you really think about them, but they all work. I think... and
it kind of more about, a lot of the time, realizing an idea than really telling a story.
Yeah, and Carpenter is kind of the master of the kind of pulp schlocky kind of movies that are about something, and I really appreciate that. I like movies that are...
But they're idea-driven before they're character-driven.
Yeah, but they're fun. Yeah. They're fun, and they're thinking films, and I enjoy that. But no, I love Carpenter, and then when I first watched this movie, it kind of blew me away. I was like, oh, you could have made this yesterday.
Yeah.
The first thing that blew my mind when I watched this, because this came out in '88, and we opened very quickly talking about the shrinking middle class, and that was the thing I didn't realize was going back that far.
Oh yeah.
And so which is
part of why you hear so much about urban upheaval and stuff in the '80s, and you can't have RoboCop without that, and that was just the previous year.
Yeah. So it's a very it seems like a really important film. I think even today, I think it's still it's a really important film in certain ways.
Insanely influenced by 1984.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And a lot of 50s kind of sci-fi. I mean, They Live is very much a 50s sci-fi, and that's kind of how the monsters are designed and the ships and stuff. It's all very 50s sci-fi.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
And they're in black and white. But yeah, no, I think it's a really important movie.
You need special glasses to see them, and so much of that stuff was in 3D.
Yeah.
Really, you made this point while we watched it, that it's almost surprising that this wasn't in 3D.
There's even a reference at one point when they're at a rally where they say they've colorized us, which is around this time. They were famously colorizing films, black and white films, and people thought that was wrong. George Lucas spoke about it. But yeah, I think
it might have been interesting to go the other way, to have the film shot in black and white, but then when you saw the aliens, it was in color. But I think you were right while we were watching. We talked a little bit while we were watching this, and I think you're spot on when you say that there's a point being made of the world is in black and white.
Yeah, it's much simpler than we make it out to be, kind of a thing. But I think it's a really important film.
It's kind of interesting that while you have so many, I mean, right around this time you have a lot of movies with social commentary about the class warfare and like the man keeping us down.
Yeah, you've got RoboCop, you've got Wall Street.
Yeah, both with government issues and business issues, and usually, very often, the idea is shades of gray, and here it's trying to subvert that some, I think.
It's almost like it's very simple. This is the way the world should be. This is the way it is, kind of a thing. But yeah, no, it's very of the time. We talk about this when Batmania finally starts coming out. We talk about this with 89 of the greed message at the end of that. Is it like it almost just seems like, well, that's what you're saying at the time, and this is one of those movies where I'm like, this is
it's in the
a movie about
that's what everybody's talking about. But yeah,
yeah, I like this movie. I had no idea whether you would like it or not. It's a little bit schlockier than you go.
It is pretty schlocky. My read on this, and I don't know if this is the general consensus, and I've never really heard a lot of people talk about this beyond, like I said, just referencing it. But I've never heard anybody really break this down and analyze it, which is part of why I forgot what it was. But I see this as a catharsis. This isn't. I don't think this movie is trying to make necessarily any major points about what exactly is going on. It's almost like putting it in front of your face. Like you hear people all the time, and I think right around this time there was a lot of this talking about the sheeple and how like I said, the man has got you down, and how you're being brainwashed, and we watch too much television, and we're relying too much on technology, and so it tries to make that as scary and spooky as possible, and then all of a sudden it turns into a big, over-the-top, crazy, mad dash to solve that problem, and by the end of it, it is sort of like RoboCop in that it gets really absurd and over-the-top violent, so that we can kind of enjoy seeing that world taken down. And I don't think, like in making it a conspiracy, I don't think Carpenter is necessarily saying there's some kind of conspiracy that's making this all happen. I think he's saying, wouldn't it be nice if it was that simple?
Yeah. No, I agree. Well, and before we started watching this, because you thought it was a zombie movie, I was like, no, it's kind of a comedy, and it's kind of an action movie, and it's kind of a science fiction movie, it's kind of a political satire. I don't really know what I would classify this movie as.
There's a lot of... No, it is certainly a science... I mean, I would call it almost like a science fiction farce. I think I'd go that far. When you've got that 16-minute fight behind buildings, I mean, that is obviously Carpenter having too much fun behind the camera, but also he's begging you not to take this material too seriously. And I like that in the first 10 or 15 minutes, he makes this world really mortifying. And when our protagonist finally puts on the glasses that let him see the whole world, or that let him see the way the world really is, and he can see the aliens for who they are, and the most bone-chilling thing, all of the literature and signs that don't really say what it looks like they're saying. There's subliminal messages beneath all of them telling us to sleep and not to think for ourselves, and anti-critical thinking. That's all really spooky, and I like how much time we spend with that, where we see the kind of like Neo Matrix shattering disillusionment of this is what the world really is, and he has a hard time for a minute accepting it, but only a moment, and then there's like a light switch where he just becomes this wild nutso action hero, and all of a sudden it's Escape from New York.
Yeah, no. If I have any criticism with this movie, I do think it's he's a little too fast from oh my god to I'm gonna murder people.
Yeah.
He's a little fast at that.
I mean, he doesn't care because in his mind they're not actually people, but then that all breaks down at the end.
Right, but he immediately goes into, you look nice. This one, formaldehyde face. Like, he's immediately there.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's almost like he can read the script and he knows that he's going to make it at the end because he's not careful at all, and I don't know that I've got enough of a sense of him at the beginning that I get why he's so brash and impulsive, and he's not really that concerned about all the aliens knowing that he knows what they are.
I think the idea is supposed to be, because at the beginning he has a conversation with Keith David where he talks about...
And he's got plot armor real hard.
Yeah, no, he absolutely does. But I think the idea... because he has a conversation with Keith David where he talks about, like, I believe in America. If you work hard, good things will come. And I think the idea is that he's a really principled guy that really believes in the system, and then discovers that the system is completely broken. And
so is he supposed to have kind of lost his mind over it?
I think so. I'm not really sure.
Is it kind of a psychotic break? Because that doesn't happen to Keith David exactly.
No, but Keith David's the more cynical of the two.
Yeah.
Keith David already thinks that the world's trying to screw him over.
So he's not as surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's supposed to be the idea, is that he's a real kind of principled guy that has the shattering disillusionment.
And because he's such a realist, I guess that's why Keith David.
Yeah.
I guess that's why we're supposed to buy that he won't. That it takes him that long to be convinced to put the glasses on.
Well, and he just had like a 2-hour fight right before he put the glasses on. So like he just wasn't in the go around shooting people mood at that point.
That was a bit, not to jump around too much, but that was a bit where I felt like, even for how absurd this material gets, that fight, as funny as it is, it goes on too long, and that's, I mean, maybe that's without saying it again, self-indulgent. John Carpenter, I'm sure, would hear that and say, "Yeah, I don't care." You know, that's a part. You like to talk about movies that don't care if you're watching them.
Yeah.
That's one of those kind of moments, or many moments, all in this back alley. By the way, it's Keith David, and the man just cannot get out of back alleys. He played Spawn.
Or homeless people.
He cannot, and homeless people.
Because he's living in a shanty town.
It really makes me wonder if Todd McFarlane wasn't thinking they live when he was cast.
He might have been. I don't know.
But he seems to get stuck in these kind of urban, street level, homeless people kinds of scenarios a lot. Keith David is great.
Keith David is great.
I've always loved him. I mean, I have seen The Thing, but I forgot he was in that. So, for purposes of this review, of this viewing, I didn't remember ever seeing him in anything where he was this young. And I was like, in my mind, Keith David transcends age. You know, he's like this larger-than-life, Shakespearean-sounding, kind of actor that does a lot of like B-level, small-time things, but has this gravitas where it sounds like he should have like this massive career, and he does not care what he's in. He's gonna do it his way, and he's gonna have that voice, and it's just wonderful. And he has that voice going all the way back, and it does not fit this character at all, and I just love it.
Do you think that he like hit puberty and was like, "Hey guys, I'm going out to the park," and then like it just never went back?
Yeah, and then he realized he had the superpower where everyone does whatever he says because he has this amazing voice. But if that were the case, he'd have James Earl Jones' career.
Yeah,
and he doesn't. But anyway. But I love him. Anyway, so sorry. The whole back alley thing. Would it really take him that much to convince? Especially because the reason he won't listen to his friend put on these glasses is because he thinks he's a crazy person. And by the way, they've already kind of done the same thing with the lead female character. And then at the end, there's this big reveal where we find out she's been working with them all along. With him, it's just that's crazy talk. Crazy talk, change the subject. But the problem with that is he cares enough about him to bring him a wad of cash. And so that makes me think that he would maybe like listen to him long enough to at least see what the deal is with the glasses.
But it does sound like he's a crazy person. I think about this movie every time, and I've worked in a gas station. I think about this movie every time like a crazy person comes up to me and starts babbling things.
You're like, what if they're right?
Yeah, I'm like, what if?
Well, I have this in so many movies where you have to separate for these people, the reality versus you're knowing you're watching a movie, right? Where you have the movie tropes, you have the formulas. It's really easy to watch a thing like this and think, well, you idiot, have you ever seen any of the kinds of movies you're in? When people start babbling like this, there's usually something to it. And aren't you going to feel like an idiot later on when you refuse to listen to all the consequences, that all the people that are going to die because you weren't paying attention? But but these people don't know they're in a movie, and if this actually happened to you, I don't know that you would realize, oh, I'm in this movie scenario.
I mean, and he sounds like a crazy person.
Yeah. Well, and he is
like
acting like a crazy person.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's Roddy Piper, who I think does a pretty good job.
He does. I absolutely think he does.
I'm kind of surprised he didn't have more of a movie career.
Yeah, after this, I mean, it's not Briggs and Murtaugh or anything, but
well, no, but he's better than Hulk Hogan has ever been in the film. Like, he's good enough that I think he could give. And I know he's been in a couple of other movies.
He's no Dwayne Johnson or anything.
Yeah. But he's on the upper echelon of wrestlers that became actors. Yeah.
No, I think he does a good job, but it's obvious why he was cast. You know, a couple things. I mean, they wanted somebody with that big build. I think if you remade this 10 years ago, Hugh Jackman would be your go-to guy.
Yeah, and I'm legitimately surprised this movie has not been remade.
Me too. Because I think you could remake this and make it more serious and make it a lot spookier.
I agree.
You might lose. You might sort of lose the point of it if it's supposed to be a catharsis. You know what I mean? If it's because the optimism at the end is like human condition is being preyed upon, and like if we're put in a corner like this, we might choose fame and fortune over helping each other. And at the end of the day, if we can realize what's going on, if we'll just band together and think about each other and not just ourselves, we can make things work out. I think you could. You could lose that. You could lose sight of that if you tried to make too serious of a version of this. But I also think you could almost do like the reverse RoboCop thing, right? Where like when RoboCop was remade, it wasn't a satire. I think you could do one that was more of a satire, and where maybe like we don't win at the end. We don't do the Daybreakers thing, or where we do, but it's harder fought, or you get the sense that by the end, we will, but we're not quite there yet. Like you could make this really really serious and mortifying. Yeah. And not do the farcical thing. And I think that would be the reason to remake it.
Well, and this is based...
And you make them two decisively different films.
This is based on a short story that I've never read. I don't know how close it is. I don't know if that short story is more serious or more farcical.
Yeah.
Because it's a really simple premise. Like, that short story could really be it. Like, this is one of those things, like, I could see going and reading the short story and being like, oh, yes, well, the premise is there.
Because the tone of the thing was surprisingly close to the short story. It was just less dry. Yeah. And then, became a lot about the special effects and...
well, and it's a really bleak film.
Yeah. But it's a bleak short story.
Which he got crap for when it was released. That there was no joy in that movie whatsoever.
But that was kind of the point of it.
Yeah. Unfit for human consumption was what like one reviewer said, and like it really hurt John Carpenter's feelings. And I think after that you see him make a couple more, like he does Starman after that.
Oh, interesting.
Which wins an Oscar, and this.
And I was going to say, if he made this at the same time he made The Thing, it would probably be more of what I'm suggesting a remake could maybe be.
Yeah, there's The Thing's 82, I think. So like there's some time in between.
It's early.
Yeah. I'm still really like I wouldn't have any expectations for a remake, but I'm surprised we haven't done one.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be against it.
No, with the right cast and crew, absolutely.
Like, I think it would be really easy to, not easy, but I think you could most certainly make a movie that is just as good or possibly even better, not make exactly the same movie.
Yeah.
There could be room for two versions of this.
Yeah, but 40 minutes in, there needs to be like a 3-hour fist fight in an alleyway. Like, that has to stay. I love that scene. I don't care that it goes on too long.
It's hysterical, but there's a tonal shift that happens, but then it never loses that. Like it's not this weird scene sandwiched in the middle of this otherwise really bleak and serious movie. Like it kind of then retains that tone.
Yeah, it becomes because it really feels like he wants to get to the big reveal and to the audience be like, look at the world you're living in.
Yeah.
And then that's the point of the movie. Well, we got to that point.
Mm-hmm. And now we got to finish our film.
And now we have to finish our film. And, I mean, the ending of the movie is look at the world you're living in. But what happens in between is just kind of like, kind of a rompy adventure kind of a thing.
Well, and I say it's catharsis, and I still hold to that. But when you get to the end, I mean, I say we've won. We can all see, but we haven't actually beaten them. It's not the Daybreakers thing.
No, it's just now everyone is going to be aware of the world that we're in, and what we do with that is completely ambiguous.
And so there's an optimism there potentially, but like you can look at it either way. It'd also be really pessimistic. We might have no idea what to do with that.
Well, because one of the permeating ideas of this film is everyone can be bought off.
And the Overlords could potentially convince enough people, even when we can see them, to still work for them.
Because like anyone that they get in contact with that finds out about them, they just throw money at them, and they get to live the good life, and then they just shut up and they help them continue on with their way. So
and they make it look hopeless.
Yeah. They say
you have no other choice, and that's the tour guide.
Yeah,
that's what he says.
Yeah, and what's wrong with having some money? We all want some money, kind of a thing.
And if we can't beat him, join him. And he basically comes out and says that. And I like how like almost twistedly like enthusiastic he is.
Yeah, and that just this is what we all want. So why not just take it when it's handed to us? Which I think is kind of a contrast to what Roddy Piper, whose name I cannot remember. Oh no, he's nameless. He never gets a name. In the credits, he's John Nada, but he never actually gets a name.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
But at the beginning when he's talking about like
because Keith David's character does.
Yeah. But Roddy Piper's never actually gets it. He never introduces himself. He never.
What's really funny is toward the beginning, he's not rowdy, but he gets really rowdy. Later on, he's quite rowdy.
You kept complaining about how he's not rowdy.
He's not rowdy, and now I see why you cast him.
But the you
just didn't allow him to be rowdy until the beginning of the third act, the end of the second act.
But his speech at the beginning about how hard work pays off, I think, is indicative of where he stands as opposed to that guy at the end who's just like, well, this is what we all want. That's not what he wants to earn what he gets. And all these people are just kind of being handed money, and I mean, it's a real upper class, lower class kind of situation.
it's kind of a morality play. It's certainly a melodrama. I wouldn't call this preachy. Like the point is making those statements.
Yeah, absolutely. It's what the movie is about.
Yeah.
It's not as subtle,
and that's the kind of film it is. It's not a standard, straightforward narrative, and it's really clear to make sure that you know that very early.
Yeah, it's a morality play. It's not far off from like some Twilight Zone and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
Well, like that's the point.
Yeah, and I like that it's a really exaggerated version of present day as opposed to having to go to the future to do it. And it's saying there is truth in especially like the subliminal messages in advertising and things. But I don't think it's saying that like everything is that. It's trying to it's intentionally blowing that out of proportion.
Because obviously John Carpenter
it's not saying every time you look at a magazine you're being told to stop thinking.
Because obviously John Carpenter likes movies. And stuff. Now, the 80s did seem to be the height of that mindless television. That shows up a lot in 80s comics and stuff, where it's just like TV is brainwashing people.
In the Material Girl era.
Yeah. So, but it's that exaggerated, like, it's everything. It's not actually everything, but it's everything. I'd imagine if they went into a bookstore and they picked up, like, not say 4, it wouldn't just be like, sleep, obey.
Well, and in 1984 it was doublespeak, so we would say the opposite of what it was actually saying, you know.
Awake. See,
do your own thing, but not really.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a really good movie.
Yeah, you too. It's a weird film.
It's a really weird film. And it's got
very strange. But it sticks with you.
It's got plot holes you can drive a truck through.
Sure.
It's a lot of contrivances. I still don't,
and it knows it, and I almost wouldn't even want to really look at it on that level.
Yeah, because like it's having fun. It's just being like, well, think about this, but you have fun while you're doing it.
Yeah, there's no point where I'm confused as to what this is supposed to be, and it's not taking itself too seriously, and it's not most importantly, it's not insulting my intelligence and trying to make me think that it's more of a traditional narrative than it is. And so I'm okay
That's
with
exactly what you said after the 16-hour fight was you're like, well, traditional narrative, you know those rules we had?
You know those modern conventions? We don't need those. Those are done for. We're done with those. No, very quickly, he starts surviving things that he shouldn't be able to survive. And
he gets thrown out a window and down a hill.
I know what the internal logic of this is. This guy will survive everything.
But then he does get a bullet and he dies. I mean...
Yeah.
He makes it to the end.
We also kill Marvin Sin City. What's your point?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He gets to the point.
And it definitely has some things in common with that kind of thing. Like I said, it's that kind of melodrama. He would have to, absolutely.
This is totally a Frank Miller movie. But especially in that time, like...
Well, and he likes to criticize media just like this does.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's a big fan of RoboCop. They're not companion pieces, but they're very similar movies.
No, absolutely. And they're being informed by a lot of the same contemporary issues and events.
Well, it's...
Again, coming out at almost the same time, 86 and 87.
Well, there's a point where he looks at the TV...
87 and 88.
And it's clearly the president, who at this point would be Reagan. Because, I mean, you know, Frank Miller hated Reagan. RoboCop, I don't think was a fan of Reagan. Like, a lot of people didn't like Reagan while he was there. And it's very clearly the president is one of the They Live guys.
Yeah.
They don't get a name.
I like that we don't feel the need to even get into what they are in the mythology of those aliens and stuff.
And I have no idea what they actually want. Like, okay,
no, we're told that. We're told that they're going and doing this to different planets, and that they kind of suck up everything that they can from us, and then they move on to some other planet.
But it's all through economics.
Yeah,
and I don't understand.
So they're just the League of Shadows from Batman Begins.
But where do they get money to give us money? To like that, I've never understood.
Oh no, that's easy
because it's all fake money. Yeah. To them, it's all okay.
But I mean, like, if they can control us, then they can print money. Like they can completely overhaul and recreate our economic system without our even realizing it.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Well, and all they have to do is no. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that is actually explained inherently in the film by the fact that they have an elite upper echelon of rich people. And like, yeah, some of those people they just give money to, but I get that maybe this isn't in the film, I'm not sure. I got the sense pretty early on that the idea was supposed to be that they had gotten to people at the top already. Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, or at least people that are at the top now, they got to at some point, because we also don't know how long it's been happening.
We don't know how long it's been like this, yeah.
But,
and that is a big question, is that are they coming in and infecting an already corrupted system, or did they corrupt it? Because again, catharsis, I felt like the point of this was trying to create an absurd explanation for something that is much more complicated and deep-seated in the corruption that you know, in our society, and both in business and politics, and so then the question within the narrative is, okay, did they come and mess with that system, or did they create it in the first place?
Well, and one of the interesting things is that we're told that they run the whole world, which means that every war is of their creation, and all conflicts are of their creation intentionally.
So it's the Hydra thing.
And I don't know like how far that goes back, or you know how long they've been manipulated, because this isn't a master plan thing. This seems to just be keeping us busy while they do what they're doing.
Yeah.
But you know, It's really interesting.
But I do think there's any number of explanations about the economics thing. I don't think it's really I don't think there's much of a question of where they get money from. Like,
it's not about the where they get money as much as what does it matter to them. Like, they're here to make money, but I don't know why. Like, it's our money. Like, what does it matter?
Well, I don't think they're trying to make money. They're trying to keep us docile with our
by strip mining resources and things?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we are given that that explanation of motivation where they're trying to get our resources.
You know, aliens are always after our resources.
Yeah.
It's just always the way. Get new motivations, aliens. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and we don't do that story very often where they mine all of our resources, and if they're using us and they're using our technology, like global warming and stuff, we end up destroying the planet, like because they made us destroy the planet. We don't do that a lot.
Well, that's the thing that they mentioned in this is that we are global warming is like terraforming the planet into their atmosphere.
Oh, I totally missed that.
Yeah, it's one of the things that the guy on TV says.
That's interesting.
Yeah. No, that well, and that might suggest,
especially going back this far,
and that might suggest, well, and that might suggest that that's kind of when they start, because they mentioned like since the 50s we've been altering the atmosphere to be their atmosphere and not our atmosphere, so maybe that's kind of where it starts, but I don't know.
Yeah, I would have appreciated an explanation maybe as to when they got here, because there's any number of places where we would be more vulnerable than other places,
like the Depression,
for that kind of takeover. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
or potentially right after World War II, but we were pretty strong right then. So it just depends on where they started. And but anyway.
But and this
I'm glad I finally watched it. I mean, cult classic. Everybody should see this. This is one of those science fiction films that I was kind of negligent in having never watched.
Well, and this is one of those movies where, like, after you've watched, it'll be like you've put the glasses on, and now you're catching references to things all over the place.
Yeah, that's kind of fun that happens.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah.
When you're like, oh, this is what everything I've ever seen is talking about.
I feel bad for those two characters that when they put in the contact lenses, they can only see in black and white.
Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel bad for the lady at the end. That'd be real unfortunate.
I feel like the only reason to wear the contact lenses over the glasses is just that for whatever reason, because it's right up to your eyes, you don't get headaches, which I thought was kind of convenient and kind of contrived.
Well, no, they said that they're, like, better manufactured, so that because the glasses break the like pulse or whatever that they're sending out,
right? And
the contacts are like better manufactured so that you don't get the headache thing, so that like it doesn't interfere with the signal as much or something. There's a throwaway explanation about that.
Yeah, no, I know there was, but I'm just saying I thought that was a little convenient. That, like, just because it's contacts.
That seems like a sequel thing, right? Like, that seems like a sequel thing that they put at the end of their movie.
But what I was going to say is, you know why you wouldn't want... You'd want to be able to take something on and off. The reason you wouldn't want it in your eyes all the time, I would think, is because there would be times where just practically, you would need to know what a book or a commercial or something is actually saying, or that what people think it's saying.
That's true. That's true.
Like, that would become really problematic. You're driving around, and, like, what if you get on the highway, and all the signs are just saying, like, obey and conform,
the speed limits.
You're just like, I need to know what the exit number is! I've got to get off!
The speed limit signs just say, don't go too fast. You're like, I don't know what that means! What's too fast?
But they're almost like never relevant to the thing, or to what they actually. I mean they are, but they're so broad that I don't even think it would say that. I think it would just be like, just obey. I guess that would be another obey, because that's rules. That's
marry
law.
And reproduce.
Yeah. Because like when we go to the grocery store, it's consume.
But It's a lot of fun, but like it's definitely like an angry movie. Catharsis is definitely like it's not. This is not a movie that actually like wants to put forth answers, because in many cases there aren't answers that aren't simple answers.
It's frustrating. The frustration is in it.
Yeah, it's just like look at all of it. Put these glasses on. Look at all of it.
And again, I think the ending is maybe a little hopeful. I think it is saying that if we would just quit being idiots, you know what I mean? If we would wake up and pay attention and live our lives on our own terms, but pay attention to other people, and not make it all just about us, maybe we have a chance. But history proves time and time again that we tend to not do that.
Well, and Keith David has that speech at the beginning where he's like when you're born, you're put at the beginning of the race, and you have to get as far as you can. And by the way, I'm going to try and screw you over as much as I can so that I can get further.
Yeah.
And it's life.
Yeah, I really like that the aliens' big plan is keep people with that mentality. So they like I like that that's a false notion. That the idea of if you just work for yourself and it doesn't matter who I have to step on to get ahead, that you think that's the only way to get to the top, to that upper echelon, but in fact it's not. And like that's the wool they're pulling over your eyes. And like, you know, if you just look at us as a species, and again, what history has taught us, we always do better when we band together than when we just try to manipulate people individually. So anyway,
yeah.
So thanks for showing me that.
Yeah.
I'm going to show Eric a science fiction film next time that is about some other things.
Oh, okay.
And I'm looking forward to finally doing it. I'm not going to say what it is, but
high-faced people there?
No.
Oh, okay.
There aren't aliens at all. Nope.
All right.
But there is a robot, so you can guess. If you'd like.
Think of a movie with no aliens but has a robot.
But has a robot. Do the opposite of what the signs in this do and think.
And no, it's not Rocky IV.
No, it's not Rocky IV. It's not a science fiction film. It just happens to have a robot. Well, is Rocky IV the one with the...
That's the one with Drogo where he's super...
Yeah, okay, there's some science fiction in that as well.
It's not that one. I've seen that one.
Look, if you can punch something at that many miles per hour, Rocky should be dead at the second punch, okay?
Well,
there's no way... There's no way he can handle that. I know, but it's still not because of blunt force trauma the way it ought to be.
I think it is. He doesn't just punch him so hard, he just like dies.
Is that what it is? It's been a while since I've watched that one.
It's been a while since I watched it too. I love that that's going to be the one that they're tying into with Creed 2, because that's the most absurd of all the Rockies.
That's nuts. But the craziest thing in Rocky is that he's still in Siberia at the beginning of 5. He gets on an airplane, and when he comes back,
like 10 years older.
It's 1992.
And his kid's like 10 years older.
It's fantastic. It's the 90s all of a sudden.
And he just ended the entire Cold War single-handedly, but he has no money and no one's looking to help him out. He's a national hero, and everyone's like, well, that sucks that Paulie...
And don't forget in 4, the driving montage.
Which one?
Oh, the driving montage.
Which one?
There's the driving montage.
Oh, is there only one driving montage?
Yeah, there's a couple montages.
There's like 9 montages.
Yeah, but there's one driving montage.
Why is he shifting?
When he's like
going straight.
Yeah,
Why is he shifting
gears? We've got to do some Rocky stuff at some point.
Yeah. But it's not Rocky IV.
I love Rocky. That's not what it is. Anyway, everybody, thanks for watching. We sure appreciate it. We'll see you again next time. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
See you later, folks.